Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and yes, I'm still here. I'm not going on hiatus. In all seriousness, I wish Tim and Damien all the best for their hiatus from YouTube. We've all done it. It's sometimes needed. There is a life beyond YouTube that sometimes we seem to forget. You will both be thoroughly missed. You are great proponents of the YouTube comic book community, and I never hear people say bad things about you, but I kind of blank all that negativity out, and I just concentrate on us lovers of comics. So I wish you well. I hope you're both back soon, but you do what you have to do. Now, for those of us who are still around, I have a stack of comics to talk about, and it's amazing how my week last week, which was such a weak stack of comics, could then do a 180 degree turn and become such an awesome, explosive joy of comic book reading. I had so much fun this week. So let us crack on. I do have to say, for annual number 1, I'm kicking off with, I have not put this at the bottom of my pile because I thought it was rubbish. I didn't finish reading it. Annuals for me are a funny little breed because most of the time, generally, they don't really have a position within an ongoing kind of title. And part of me thinks this annual is a bit of a cash grab on Marvel's behalf. I think it's a little bit too early in our new Thor run to be throwing an annual at us. That said, this, although I haven't read it all, features 3 separate stories about 3 different, I guess, versions of Thor. You have one set in the future, one set in the present, and one in the past. All drawn by different artists and written by different writers. So I can't really judge the content of this. I hope those of you who did pick it up enjoyed it. I'll see when I get round to reading it. Justice League Dark issue 39, and I still feel that this should have been pushed more by DC, because I still get this vibe from it, although it's not like in your face, that this has something to do with the whole convergence thing and the breaking down of timelines, converging, diverging, all this big event that's going to be coming up soon. And I do feel like this could have been used as a big part, a big lead-in, but there is nothing in here to say that it does affect our upcoming event. We get quite biblical in this issue as the team goes up against Pralaya, who we see in this issue. I say she because it is this kind of physical manifestation of nothingness, which is a bit of a weird concept to kind of wrap your head round, but it, as this kind of manifestation explains, you are seeing me as I think you can grasp me as if you saw my true form. You know your heads would explode. And it is the team trying their darn hardest to fight against this, what is clearly an unbeatable adversary. And this Pralaya kind of tries to tempt the gang to kind of give up in their fight, that it is ultimately pointless, that, let's see, Frankenstein, do you really want to live your life as, parts of different people? Swamp Thing, are you really happy in this visage you have of just like plant life? Don't you want to be human again? Adam Bennett, do you not just want to give up all this violence and be with the one you love? And although most of the group turn around and go, well, yes, I'm sick and tired of fighting and it is getting us nowhere, the kind of rally cry comes from Boston Brand, Dead Man, and ultimately Zatanna, who makes the kind of decision for the gang as a whole to continue on fighting, and this does seem to be their downfall, and we are left with darkness, nothingness again, until a house appears. Now, we've had the House of Mystery, we've had the House of Secrets, this concluding part entitled The House of Hope. So interesting. I don't know many people who are reading Justice League Dark, and to be fair, I don't blame you for not reading it. I don't think it particularly sells well. It is having a change of title when the new titles come in after Convergence. But I don't blame you for not picking this up. It's been quite sporadic. I just loved the characters within them, even if they weren't used to their full potential. We've got Batman Eternal issue 47, and to say this was infinitely better than the last few issues isn't really hard to say, despite the fact that this still has a way to go, but at least it's kind of now trying. What we have in this issue really is just a series of, to begin with, snapshots of the Bat family taking down our rogues gallery that we saw at the end of last issue, where we find in the start of this one, you know, they've been kind of given this blank check to have everything they ever wanted, to take down Gotham or destroy it or do whatever they want. And this is my first issue with this issue. If we go through our little snapshots that we see as we read along this, so we start with Batwing going up against Scarecrow. You know, it only lasts about 2 or 3 pages, but Batwing seems to make quick work of Scarecrow and he is using the bat drones to go over Gotham, spreading his fear toxin. That seems to be over and done very quickly. We go on to Red Robin, who is up against Clayface. And this is where in some of these they start to break down. You know, you've been given this blank check to do what you want. You've been kind of told to take down Gotham. But what does he do? He kidnaps an actor so Clayface can play out a Batman and Joker play story TV series. It didn't really make much sense. Sure, the background of Clayface being, you know, an actor is there, but how it works in the whole grand scheme of things just seems a bit off. Who's next? Bluebird catches up with Mr. Freeze, who has just basically decided to go into someone's backyard and make lots of ice sculptures. Hardly villain scaring tactics. I'm going to leave the next one that came along till the last because it is one of the more interesting ones. But we also have Red Hood finding out what Bane has done. And he's basically become a mechanical souped up cage fighter. Because, you know, you get written a blank check and what do you want to do? I want to make myself into a metal robot and go into the cage fighting career. It just didn't make any sense. The one that does have more longer lasting and firmer impression on me was, of course, Batgirl going up against Joker's daughter in the place where in the 52 universe She was crippled, and her father was attempted to make him become insane. The whole Killing Joke storyline. And that one, although it didn't play out, and I'm presuming we're going to see a lot more of that in the coming issues, it intrigued me the most. The other point that I got a little bit iffy about was the kind of plot contrivance towards the end. We have Hush being released by another shadowy figure in the Batcave, and for whatever reason he pushes the emergency override button in the Batcave, and this apparently cuts out everything bat related, and Batman just happens to be flying over Gotham in the Batplane. Why would you put an emergency override into your system that, one, you can't override the override, and ends up having you crashed into Gotham? It was a very weird plot contrivance that I didn't particularly like. As I said, this is a lot of snapshots, and I felt they could have made more. Okay, this would have been gone over a few issues. Maybe there isn't the time left now, but some of the Rogues villain guys, it just felt very rushed, very quickly wrapped up, so we can head to the end, to this supposed climax of Batman Eternal. I was told, and I paid particular attention to the artwork in here, because Ferreira, I'm sorry, the artist in this book is taking over from Ben Temple-Smith on Gotham by Midnight, and I think other people have spotted this as well. I wasn't sure, but he is the only artist in this book, but the styles kind of changed a little. So there were parts I think it's going to be really good for this person, this Juan Ferreira, to be in Gotham by Midnight. There is that kind of dark, kind of grey tone, supernatural dark feel to it that I think will suit the book. It will be a drastic change, as anyone who follows Ben Temple-Smith will be. They're Not Like Us, issue number 3, and I finally get to kind of talk about this book. If you heard on my video on Wednesday, the first issue of this came out in my break at Christmas, where I wasn't doing any videos for a week. So I couldn't talk about the first issue, which I thought was fantastic. I loved. I've reread and reread. Unfortunately, due to a little mishap with my comic book store, they didn't order number 2, and I haven't put it on my pull list yet. So I've missed out on issue 2. I'm waiting for them to reprint this book so I can at least get a second printing of it. And here we are with issue 3, and I deliberated whether not to read it and wait for issue 2, but I have no willpower. So I had to kind of make some assumptions and just kind of go with where issue 3 was. And my overall feeling was that Eric Stevenson, who writes this book, really doesn't like other people very much. At least that's my impression. Maybe I need to read issue 2 to get the larger picture of where we are now. But what I did take away from this title and this particular issue was that it's refreshing to see a team kind of being told at the forefront of the story, who frankly aren't very nice, but they have been granted these extra special powers that normally would be used for good. So it's an interesting take on, like I said before, it feels very much like a cross between the X-Men and the Invisibles. But I really enjoy it. I love the artwork by Simon Gain. kind of very indie, very hip kind of art style to it. It's a very violent, vicious book, not for young readers in the slightest. Okay, Batman issue number 39, and I'm not saying that I'm not enjoying this story, because I am. I love the spectacle, the mystery of it all, but I do feel that to a large extent this is being aimed at the die-hard connoisseurs of a Batman and all those people with a rich knowledge of the Bat history. I'm talking about Bat Josh. I am sure he is raving about this issue, and he should do. He is one of the greatest Bat fans that I know, and he has an enormous amount of knowledge of the Bat universe, and he will probably get way more out of this than I possibly could. So I can really only boil this down to where I knew this was going to head in the very end, in that this was going to be Batman and Joker going head to spine, so to speak. The cure for this madness that is running rampant in Gotham, the only way Batman is going to get this cure is to extract it from the Joker's spine. And it was always going to come down to these two characters. There were some incredibly surprising elements in this. The first, and I'm not going to spoil it, but given that we've had kind of like future, where Batman is in the future to where he is now, maybe I need to look back a little closer, but there is a certain chopping off of someone's hand, and I'm not sure whether in the future that person's hand is not reattached. I need to look back at that. I may be wrong there, so don't hold me to that. However, there is this very surprising uneasy alliance between heroes and villains, them coming together to fight, I guess, the ultimate evil in Gotham, that being the Joker. It has been a thrilling ride. Greg Capullo's art, fantastic. Miki's colours are gorgeous, and I've certainly got a lot used to them since year zero year, whatever it was called. I still don't know which way round it is. Sorry. And I don't know. Maybe it's a book to read in one go, like in a trade. I'll pull out all the issues of Batman for this endgame storyline, read it all at once, and maybe get a better understanding, a better flow of the book. We move on to Odyssey, and this is issue 3 of Matt Fraction and Christian Wade's psychedelic sci-fi epic extravaganza. And this is another of those titles for what I consider the comic connoisseur, the learned literati amongst us. This is a book I tend to experience more than, for most of it, actually understand. But honestly, it's still worth paying your cash for. From mortal women giving birth to gods and then exploding, the gods continuing still to mess with poor Odyssey, and then giant multi-breasted human-eating Cyclops, which puts Odyssey and her army in mortal danger. It is a visual treat of the eyes. I mean, God, it's just amazing how vibrant, how exciting, how trippy this book is. If you are familiar with Homer's Odyssey, then and have read it, if you are that intelligent, I certainly have not, you will probably get much more out of this book. But still, just for the mere pleasure of seeing these glorious pages unfold, it's worth it. Moving on to Gotham by Midnight issue 4, and I really thought that they would kind of stretch out the emergence of the Spectre just that little bit longer, but I'm so glad they didn't, and Ben Templesmith got to draw the Spectre in an absolutely spectacular way. I was so pumped with this book. It explains everything really well. We've had these past demons that our kind of supernatural CSI team have defeated, and they all have a connection to each other. They all have a connection to the long history of Gotham, and it just all makes sense. There's no contrivance there, and just having this seemingly out of control, omnipotent, omniscient Spectre, all-powerful, rain down this biblical judgment down on Gotham is just a sight to behold. We're so excited reading this book, and there were some beautiful tiny touches in there with the bat signal and then the bat plane going over. Are we going to see Batman get involved in the next couple of issues as the Spectre goes up against our next kind of supernatural demon? Which, does it need to be defeated? Does it need to be judged? Friend or foe? Just fantastic. And again, I'm so glad Templesmith got the chance to draw the Spectre, because blown away. Finally, for this portion of the video, don't forget, right after this, go watch my pick of the week video. I have Low issue number 6, so close to being my pick of the week, and would have been if not for a certain very special one shot that came out. I've really come to love this book more and more with every issue that comes out, and it breaks my heart that we now have to wait till June for the next issue. But as Ramunda tweeted at me, it's going to be worth the wait. It'll be worth it. Ramunda and Ticini just create another explosive and emotional climax to this first story arc of Low. Really, beware. This is kind of, okay, it sounds a little bit cliche, but it works so well here. But really, beware. If you get a flashback right at the beginning of your book to one of your main characters, and it's all kind of hopeful and looking to the future, and it seems really, they're not long for this world. They really aren't. Something absolutely hideously terrible is going to happen to them. Last issue we saw Marek fighting this underwater, ridiculously huge sea monster creature with his fellow kind of underwater gladiators in the arena, coming to an almost near death, but escapes just in the nick of time by using these kind of shells that he made with his father for his sisters. And it is from there that Marek starts to instigate a rebellion against Rolm the pirate who killed his father right at the beginning of this series, and kind of rallies the crowds to realise, you know, their life isn't actually that great under the rulership of Rolm. And so of course Rolm has to come in and intervene in this young upstart who is already mortally wounded by a traitor in their midst during the fight from the previous issue. things obviously don't go well for Marek. And it's not just focused on Marek and his sacrifice that he makes. We have the mother, whose name I finally realised is called Stell. I've looked for her name so often. The mother Stell and the captured daughter Tajo. Their eyes, especially Taja's eyes, are opened to the malicious abuse she has been subject to by Ron, that seeing her brother tortured and maimed and killed, sorry spoilers, in this book, it just turns her. And the glorious thing about this book, we get such a wonderful series of designs in this book. The design on this book is just off the hook. It really is. The suit she goes into, the design of that, if you just look and see all the detail, it is so well thought out. And the colouring, I don't think it's Ticini. It's very difficult to work out because they don't put all the names of who does what on the front or in the inside cover. I don't think he does the colouring, but whoever is doing it, this red hue that's throughout it is glorious. And just suits this explosive ending as Tajo takes her revenge on not just Ron, but the city in general. We have a parting of the ways between mother and daughter, but I'm just too excited for the next step, the next evolution of this title. Remender he just doesn't know when to stop being good. So that wraps up this week's video of my main comic books. Of course, there is my pick of the week video, which will be uploaded straight after this one, so make sure you don't miss out on that. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any of my videos. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know what you thought of the books that I picked up this week, and tell me about the books that you picked up this week down in the comments section below. I always enjoy reading all your comments. Thank you all for watching as always. Thank you to all you new people that have subscribed to me. Until next week. Bye-bye.